Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 26 Series Rescue the Rockies. And we are a month into the 2033 season. Our Rockies are doing fine, 2.5 games out in the National League West with a 15-12 record, and we're holding on to the final wild card spot in the National League as we sit here on May 1st. After having the best record in baseball each of the past 3 years and expecting this team to once again contend for that as well as 100 wins, it's been a little bit of a disappointing start to the season. Last episode, we did take a look at our team statistics at the end of it, and we're 3 games below Pythagorean expectations, so at least according to the numbers, we could be half a game ahead of the Dodgers. Both NS1 CLRK and Peter Hooper asked about our bullpen, thinking that could be a explanation for the fact that we're underperforming our Pythagorean record so dramatically in the early going. And as we noted last episode, we do rank 13th in the league with a 4.54 bullpen ERA. And when we look at what's going on, there are 4 pretty important relievers who have put up pretty rough numbers through the first month of the season, but admittedly in a very small sample size for a couple of them. Closer Wellington Herrera has pitched just 7 2/3 innings, 2-2 record with 4 saves in 9 games, so he's been involved in a lot of action. 4 shutdowns, 4 meltdowns, ultimately has allowed 2 home runs in just those 7 2/3 innings. That's the negative. He has struck out 13 batters in 7 2/3 innings. He's been below replacement level. 333 BABIP against him, which is certainly higher than we've come to expect from him. 7.04 ERA, but his Sierra is almost exactly 5 runs better than that. Looking at his ratings, certainly would expect a reversion to the mean from him, which should be an improvement. Stopper Justin Gibson, also off to a bit of a slow start. He's also been below replacement level this year. ERA of close to 6. 10 walks in 13 2/3 innings has been the big issue for him, unless our scout is way off on his control. And he's also lost a lot of control from where he used to be. Would expect that number would normalize as well. Another guy whose Sierra is better than his ERA, although certainly not as dramatically as Wellington Herrera. 342 BABIP also seems a little bit high for a pitcher who's got as good stuff as Gibson. Luke Little is the smallest sample size here. The veteran lefty who we brought back has pitched only 4 innings over 4 games through the first month of the season. 6.75 ERA, another guy who's been below replacement level. 3 walks and 5 hits allowed in 4 innings, including a home run allowed. But again, the sample size is so small, not going to get too concerned about that. And then one of our new additions, the lefty Adonis Valaire, Anthony having a tough start to his Colorado career. 387 BABIP against Valaire, giving up 17 hits in just 12 1/3 innings, including a ridiculous 5 home runs allowed. His Sierra of 2.17 is about 4.5 runs better than his actual ERA. Another guy who's been below replacement level over the first month of the season. But looking at his ratings, looking at his historical performance, certainly would expect better things from Valaire going forward. So those are 4 of the primary culprits in our bullpen. The rest of the guys, Rich Hannon and Jackson Peavy, 2 new additions, doing fine. And then Dave Seibrecht and Bill Douglas with ERAs of 1 or lower are optically at least performing better than some of the guys at the back end of the bullpen. And taking a look at our schedule for this upcoming month of May, finish off a series against the Diamondbacks today, and then 3 against the Giants before we head out on a long road trip, Philly, Washington for 4 games, and St. Louis, then back against Milwaukee, and then a 4-game series against the Dodgers. And then we'll finish up with a road trip at the end of the month, Seattle, fly all the way across the country to Pittsburgh, and then back down to the Dodgers. Probably not the most efficient travel schedule there for the Rockies, but we will deal with what the schedule makers did to us. At least we have an off day before and after the Seattle series. And we lost the first game of the month to Arizona to fall to 15-13. But as you probably saw when we were at the standings page, Colt Keith leading the National League in hitting. Don't necessarily expect that 389 average to continue, but an absolutely brilliant week for him. 14 for 21, so he is 667 over the past week with 4 ribbies and 6 runs scored. On base percentage of .450 on the season. Again, it looks like he's typically been a 240, 250-ish, 260-ish hitter most of his career in Detroit and last year with us in Colorado. So we'll take the strong performance at the plate from Keith while we're getting it, but not expecting that he's ultimately going to be contending for a batting title when we get to September. And a lose one, win one, lose one, win one, lose one type of start to the month here in May for our Rockies. 17-15 record as we get ready for the second game of a 3-game series in Philadelphia. Unfortunately, we've got a relatively significant injury. Second baseman Marcelo Meyer going to be out for over a month likely with a strained hammy. Meyer hitting .267 this year, 7 doubles and a lone home run in 86 at-bats. Been a slightly above average offensive player. The 30-year-old has been fragile physically for a long time at this point. He's in his final arbitration eligible season. Very conceivable that this could be Meyer's last year with us in Colorado, and certainly not optimal to be losing him for the next month and a half. And you may be wondering whether we're going to reunite with one of the top prospects in our organization, Jervy Mahez, with the injury that Meyer suffered. Unfortunately, Mahez is on the IL in AAA, only with back spasms, so he's going to miss another week or so. But we will not be bringing him up right now since he is hurt. That'll give Dean West an opportunity to rejoin the team. He was injured early in spring training. He spent the last month in Albuquerque, first on a rehab assignment, and then when we ran out of time there, just decided to exercise the option and keep him down in AAA. But he is back now. He will pivot to center field. Kevin Roberts will pivot to left field. Ryan Stone will pivot to first base, and Colt Keith will pivot to third base, which is where DePaula used to be playing, allowing DePaula to take over at second base. So a lot of changes in terms of the defense, probably a little weaker defensively at third with Colt Keith there rather than DePaula. But you could argue, actually you can't argue, it's just clear that we're stronger at left field with Kevin Roberts Jr. there than Ryan Stone at first base. So hopefully when all is said and done, it'll even out. Definitely a little light on infielders right now. Don't have a ton of depth for if and when we have some injuries and guys need days off. Really at this point, only DePaula and Tovar are natural middle infielders on our team. So this isn't necessarily something that's going to even work for the 5 weeks that we are without Mr. Meyer. But Mahez is defensively the most interesting guy for us to potentially bring up. So I think if we get in a situation where it's just not working out and we're having some difficulty defensively at second and short, which we probably will at this point with, again, only DePaula and Tovar being particularly proficient at those positions, could be making another move in relatively short order, but at least going to give West a few at-bats over these next couple of days. And another day, another loss, another injury. Lost to Philadelphia 3-1 to fall to 17-16. And Dave Seibrecht, former Rule 5 acquisition, has had 2 consecutive seasons end very early because of injuries. This case, a torn UCL, headed for Tommy John surgery. He has been really good for us in the 9 games that he's pitched over the past 2 seasons since we made him a Rule 5 pick out of the Angels organization. But staying healthy has been a big issue for the now 24-year-old left-hander, even though we picked him in the Rule 5 draft in 2031, and it is now May of 2033. Still has another 47 days that he's going to need to be active on the roster before we can potentially move him into the minors. But obviously he won't be pitching until, if he's lucky, late in spring training next year. And it's quite conceivable he might not even be pitching again until the 2034 season has already started. And with the injury to Seibrecht, we're going to bring up one of the top prospects in our organization, Brian Stoops. He was our first-round pick 2 years ago out of New Mexico State in 2031, considered the number 50 prospect in baseball. The 24-year-old, 1-2 in 6 starts in AAA Albuquerque this year. But a very impressive 1.15 earned run average. Didn't allow a single home run over 39 innings pitched. Every one of his starts was a quality start, and he put up a 1.6 WAR for us in that admittedly small sample size, but much more successful in AAA this year than he was at the end of last season, and going to give him an opportunity to be a long reliever, also do some middle relief work for us over the next coming weeks, and he certainly has an opportunity to stick for the whole season, given that we know we're not going to be seeing Seibrecht until 2034. And we lost 6-1 in the final game of the series in Philadelphia to fall to 500 at 17-17. We did finally bring up an infielder. Ariel Dihigo will be making his major league debut at the age of 26. He's been in Albuquerque the past few years for us. Captain personality, good influence in the clubhouse, a guy who can play a competent second, third, and borderline competent shortstop for us. We brought him up. He'll be playing against left-handed pitching for us. Gives us more defensive versatility against right-handed pitching. He'll be our primary backup at second, third, and short. He'll play third for us against left-handed pitching. Pivot Colt Keith to first base. And we sent down the young right-handed hitting outfielder Sam Gray. He was hitting just a $180 for us and over 50 at-bats. If he's not hitting against left-handed pitching, he doesn't really bring a lot of value. And since we felt we wanted another glove on the team who could play the infield for us, we're going to give opportunity for Diego to make his major league debut with Mr. Mahez still banged up. And when we won the first 2 games on the road this past week against the Nationals, felt that we might be starting to finally turn the tide a little bit, but we've now lost 5 in a row, lost the final 2 of the 4 games in Washington, and swept in St. Louis. So a pretty dismal 2-8 road trip. Fortunately, we are back home, but here on May 16th, the middle of May, only 3 games out in the division because although we're 2-8 in our last 10 with 5 straight losses, the Dodgers only 3-7 in their last 10. You can see we've had a lot of guys dropping off the leaderboard, though. Kevin Roberts Jr., last year's NL MVP, still ranks 3rd in batter WAR. Noah Schultz 2nd in the league in strikeouts, but hopefully can start playing some better baseball. This next week at home is going to be pretty important. Would like to certainly have a winning record for this team by the time we get to June, and going to need to play better baseball over the next 2 weeks for that to be the case. And unfortunately, our Rockies really continued to struggle. A bad homestand, a 2-5 record, lost 2 out of 3 to Milwaukee, and then we lost 3 out of 4 to the Dodgers. So 21-27 as we sit here on May 23rd. Still have 7 games left in the month, but they're all on the road. And the only way we finish May with a record above 500 is if we sweep those 7 road games against the Mariners, Pirates, and Dodgers. With the way that we are playing, that is certainly not a very high probability. Tied for third in the division at this point, 5.5 games behind those Dodgers. And unfortunately, our poor play continued in this final week plus of May. Swept in Seattle, lost 2 out of 3 in Pittsburgh, did split the first 2 in Los Angeles against the Dodgers. Got the rubber game of that series against LA. But a shockingly bad start for this team to this season, given that we thought we'd be competing for 100 wins. And as I noted, we were going for the best record in baseball for a 4th straight year with largely the same team that won 116 games a year ago. And as we sit here on June 1st, just 23-32. Fortunately, the Dodgers not playing well of late either, and the Diamondbacks, with a 7-3 run in their last 10, have moved into first place. So despite our sickly 23-32 record, we're only 6.5 games out in the division. We're actually further out of the wild card, 7 games out of the final wild card spot than we are in the division. Colt Keith, 3rd in the league in hitting. Gus Nieves tied for 2nd in the league in home runs. And Noah Schultz tied with Jordan Woods for the league lead in strikeouts. Taking a look at the team statistics 2 months into the season now, and we remain very unlucky. 23-32. Pythagorean numbers suggest we should be 30-25. Our road record is a brutal 10-21 at this point, and we're a pretty sickly 5-11 in 1-run games, 3-4 in extra inning games. Still have one of the best offenses in the National League, 2nd in the league in runs scored, and we are 1st or 2nd in most offensive categories. The pitching staff definitely disappointing this year, 11th in runs allowed. Starters ERA has been regressing to 9th. Bullpen ERA, I guess, technically has improved in the rankings to 11th, although the 4.50 ERA still not particularly strong. But statistically, we should be 7 games better than we are at this point. And we've had some injuries, but, Seibrecht certainly hurts the bullpen, and Meyer going to be out for another week with that strained hammy, but really nothing that we shouldn't be able to overcome a bit. Noah Schultz, mild oblique strain, going to impact him for 4 days after he pitched yesterday, so may need to push his next start back a day, just not to take any unnecessary risks with our ace. Schultz 4-2 record with a 4.24 ERA, 1.7 WAR on the year. His Sierra almost 2 runs better than his actual ERA. We talked about the fact that he's tied for the league lead in strikeouts, so still having a very nice season for us, even if perhaps not quite as good as the past couple years when he's led the league in ERA and WHIP both times. So as we conclude another month of this 2033 season, definitely not feeling good about things. Attendance way down from a year ago by over 9,000 a game, which is pretty shocking given how well we played a year ago and the fact that we have made the playoffs 7 straight years. But the pathetic fan loyalty and our relatively pathetic record is certainly letting the fickle fans of Colorado avoid coming out to the ballpark when they don't feel like we're putting a great product on the field, set to make a lot less revenue this year. Hopefully the team will get better. We've also lost 2 points in fan interest since the start of the season, so everything that could be going wrong seems to be going wrong, but as we just touched upon, when I look at the actual team statistics, I'm not nearly as concerned as our record would have us be. Hard to imagine we're going to have another .286 winning percentage ahead of us. Mentioned that a year ago with a very similar team, we won 116 games. We had a winning percentage over 600 every month of the year. Definitely a different team this year, but still think that at some point we're going to start playing better baseball. So hopefully that will be in the month of June. If we get to the midway point of the season in the next episode, when we'll be doing our mid-season review and things have not improved much, then it's going to put us in a position where we potentially have some pretty interesting decisions to think about, and not in a good way compared to what we were expecting at the start of this season. But hopefully June will be better than April and especially May were for our Rockies, and we will find out whether or not that's the case in our next episode. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.